So let's remove some blemishes, freckles, marks, just kind of things that nobody wants on their face. So let's go ahead and zoom in. I actually picked out a guy for once. I've been working with female photos this whole time. So I thought we'd go ahead and work with him and kind of remove some of these blemishes. So we have a couple of tools that we can use. We have the spot healing brush tool up here, or the healing brush tool. So we have the healing brush tool, which would be good for larger areas, but for small blemishes, the spot healing brush, the keyword on spot is the tool that you want to use for removing blemishes. So we're going to go ahead and click on that tool, and we're going to make it fairly small, about the size of the blemish, if not just a little bit larger. So we're going to go in, it's going to be like magic. So let's go ahead and find a very obvious blemish. So right here, I'm just going to reduce the size of my brush till it's a little bit bigger than the blemish. I'm going to click once and it's going to disappear. It's going to take samples from outside to create a replacement pixels for that area. I'm going to click, and this is great for small areas. Do not try to use this on large areas. If I used this and painted on a big large area, it's going to look chunky. So you see how it brought kind of this different colored skin from over here. It doesn't look very good. So you have to use a different method for large areas. But this is great for these small blemishes, little freckles, moles, sometimes small tattoos if you needed to remove that from skin. I've had clients have me remove tattoos from people, remove blemishes. There's a lot of things that clients wanted me to do before I used a photo in a design. So I'm just kind of had a lot of experience doing some of the stuff for client work. So I'm just going to continue to kind of do very small blemish work. I'm not going to do anything bigger than this brush. We'll have to do some other things to clean up using large areas. So I'm going to do this for another few minutes and I will be right back. So I used the spot healing brush for a couple more minutes and you can kind of see the effects it's had. This is where we were before, and this is kind of what I was able to do with about 5 minutes of the brush healing tool. I'm able to kind of eliminate some of those glaring mistakes, and we don't want to over edit this and make them look fake and make him look like he's got makeup on. That's the last thing we want. So we want to keep some blemishes on there just to be authentic and be relatable and be a real person. So now I'm going to go ahead and click on our man, and I'm going to go up to selective color and see if I can't maybe eliminate some of that redness in his cheeks. So we're going to go up to selective color, which we've been using a lot. See if I can't go to the reds and reduce that, maybe by adding a little blue. Just kind of reducing a little bit of the redness. There we go, that looks a lot better. Let's see how yellows look. You notice the redness is not quite as obvious. And there's several ways to do this. This is just one method. It depends on what you think works best. So let's go ahead and go back in our history to see kind of the changes it made. So this is before, and this is after. And if we didn't want the background to change, we can always just select our guy and then do selective color so it omits the entire image. If we just wanted to be very selective, we could just select with the lasso tool or the polygon lasso tool, select him, and then do the color changes so it doesn't change everything. But I think we've already made a lot of progress in about 10 minutes. So this was before, and this is after. We can further reduce the redness by doing our little non-destructive dodge and burn layer. So I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to go up and I'm going to fill it with 50% gray. So I have it 50% gray. We're going to do the same thing we did before. I'm going to make it an overlay. And on this layer, I'm going to do dodge and burn, and this will help us kind of lighten his skin just a little bit. So I'm just going to do a very little bit of exposure. I don't want a big dramatic change. I believe I have dodge on. I'm just kind of lightening the red areas, just clicking and bringing out highlights just on where I think it's really dark and red. You can always go back and lighten it up if we want to. So that just kind of further lightened his skin in certain areas. And we can also grab the burn tool. Once again, just do a little bit of exposure. Let's do midtones, and we can bring out any particular areas that we want to bring out. So just kind of over dramatizing certain shadows. I love to bring out highlights and shadows in hair. I'm just kind of making that more dramatic. I can also get the dodge tool, bring out highlights here, which I love to do. Bring up the exposure. So it just kind of really makes the hair pop out. You can even do this with the eyes. Let's go ahead and make that really small. Bring out the eyes just a little bit, just a little shine. I'm not sure if the eyebrows need a little bit of highlight either. Just a little touch. Okay, so there's our little man here. So let's go back to what we had before. This is what he was before. This is after, and we can even take our little layer here that we just did our dodge and burn on, and we can reduce the opacity just a little bit, because this is, when I toggle that on and off, I think it's a little heavy. So I'm just going to reduce the opacity by 50%. We just want a little bit of a change. Just to have a more natural appearance, and he still has blemishes, yet he still looks natural and normal, and he doesn't look like he's got makeup on. So that's kind of the trick to editing, is being low key and not being too dramatic, but kind of getting rid of those blemishes that are more distracting than they are helpful. So hopefully you've enjoyed this section of the class where we got to really work with people and learn how to manipulate that. It's a great starting point to learn how to edit people in photos, because working with people is so essential in terms of me as a graphic designer. I've always had to edit photography. Even though it's already been edited, there's some reason I need to edit the photography to fit with the design piece I'm working with or with the theme. So it's really great to know this stuff and how to do some small editing. You don't have to be a photo editing expert to be able to use some of these tools to do small amount of edits. Will get you really far as a designer.